Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. I'm going to just do a quick introduction and run through the agenda, and then we'll get right into our speakers. So I just want to say welcome to all our attendees. We know we have students, new students, signing in from all over the world, so very, very exciting. My name is Susan Pridmore. I work for the AC Hub and the registrar's office, and we put on the orientation packages that you guys get in your emails, the many emails that we're sending to you. And I'm really here just to get things started. We recognize that this is a very different time to be starting school, and we appreciate that you guys are on board and that we're all going to make this happen together because we're in this together, as we keep hearing. But we really truly believe that. The pandemic has caused a lot of shifts for us, but we've all moved online and all services are available to you. And what we'll do today is go through those services and see what it looks like now that we're all at home. You can see we're all in our living rooms, and to show you what that looks like and how we're still here to support you and that you'll still be able to get those services that you need. So I quickly just want to mention that we have a coronavirus FAQ page that is on the main page of the Algonquin College's website. It is a fantastic resource, a lot of questions that you'll be asking. You can find answers there, and it's been posted in the chat. So you can check that out. But again, the purpose of today's webinar is that we go through the services that are here today and let you know what your semester will look like. So I will ask Michelle, who is on this call as well, to move on to the next slide. So just to go through the agenda today, so we have quite a few services, and again, they're here to go through some normal housekeeping, but then as well speak to how to get those services available online and how to look a little bit different this semester. So we'll start with Student Support Services, so they'll be able to answer questions about some of the programming that Student Support Services offers, and all that programming is free. The registrar's office, so a lot of your financial aid and student awards, we get a lot of questions about that. Campus services and course materials, so things like printing that you would normally do on campus, we'll touch on that as well. They'll also touch on UPass and your student card, and again, talk about the requirements for you to get that done. And of course, your Students Association is here. We have International Education Center. We get a lot of questions from our international students and appreciate that these webinars are super useful because you're not often here yet in Ottawa. And of course, because of the pandemic, we're looking at the same situation. And then we have academics, so they'll speak to your programs more specifically in your academic area. And then co-op education and what that looks like. We have someone from ITS, so they'll be able to walk through anything to do with getting online, getting access, and I'm saying the word access, but they'll explain what that is, and you'll know what we're talking about by the end of this webinar. And then we'll move into a Q&A at the end of this, okay? So we're gonna ask that everybody just hold off on your questions. There is a chat box, and feel free if you're just wanting to engage and say hello, that's great. You can use the chat box, but at the end, we'll use the Q&A to ask any further questions that we have. And of course, take a look at that agenda. If there are areas that you're more interested in, make sure that you're paying attention then so that you're not asking those questions that we've covered afterward. But we will take that question period at the end at 9:45. So Michelle, if you want to go to the next slide. Michelle is going to kick this off for us and talk a little bit about orientation. And you have already all made the first wonderful step of attending this webinar, and Michelle is going to talk about the next step.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I work with the AC Hub and Student Support Services. Thank you so much for joining us today. Like Susan mentioned, this is the first step and this webinar is being recorded, so you'll receive the recording after, just by email. And then after this webinar, if you still have questions or if you think of something else in the next couple of weeks, please join us for the virtual AC Day 1, which is on Tuesday, May 19th. And we're going to be repeating this webinar along with 4 other webinars. So the webinars are going to touch on things like your student experience, how to excel in academics, and health and wellness, and a few other different topics. You're going to receive an email to register for virtual AC Day 1 today. So when you get that email, please register and sign up, select the webinars that you're interested in. And then I'll just move on to the next. This is what the registration will look like. And we have programming throughout the day. We actually have programming starting at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, May 19th, going until the evening. So we have the webinars and then also some fun workshops. So we have a brew bar, there's going to be a coffee workshop, there's a calligraphy workshop, we have virtual yoga, yeah, lots of different workshops and fun activities that's free for all students. You'll receive everything in your email today. Okay, thank you so much. Here's the link.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So we're going to go straight into our first presentation. So Martha Marr is on the call, and Martha, I'll pass it over to you to speak on Student Support Services.
Thanks, Susan. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here with you today. I'm a manager in Student Support Services, and Student Support Services has quite a few services that you can access, and we really hope that you do. Part of your success at the college will be your ability to access help when you need it. So here are some of the services that are available to you. The AC Hub, which is all things engagement. You can do a lot of stuff through the Hub, stuff that will personally be enjoyable for you, and stuff that will help you give back to your community, and stuff that will help you network at Algonquin College. There's also Aspire AC, which is for students who come from diversity backgrounds and could use a little bit more help, and so there's services available to them. The Center for Accessible Learning is for students who require a little more support for their academics. So people who would require any kind of technology aids to help them learn. People who might need a quiet setting to write an intensive exam, things like that. Counseling services is available. These are clinical counselors. They're PhD supervised. They can help you in all kinds of areas: mental health, career path, or any kind of personal challenges that you're going through. And the Employment Support Center is there for you with regards to looking at your cover letter, looking at your resume, practice interviewing with you. They have a website called Hire AC, where all jobs are posted for students only of Algonquin College. Health services, doctors, nurses, and if you're in a program that requires you to have all kinds of immunizations, etc., they can help you to be ready for that for your placements. The library, incredible space. Hope that you get to enjoy it after COVID. Anything in there is available to you with regards to researching a project, or taking out a film, or help with learning. They have a learning center, all kinds of things available to you there. The Mamidoswin Center. The Mamidoswin Center is our Aboriginal Center. Indigenous students invite anyone from the college to come and join them. And it's a celebration of their culture and a place where they can gather and be at home. Office of the Ombudsman. This is a service available to you if you're having any kind of conflict with regards to your academics that can't get resolved at a lighter level. You can engage the Ombudsman to help you through that. Peer tutoring, one-to-one tutoring is available to you. Group setting, learning sessions in technology, math, English, communications, etc., is available to you. Peer tutoring has a bit of a cost to it, but it's it's half students, and the Students Association covers the other half. Project Lighthouse. This is a program for the prevention of sexual assault and learning about safe relationships, safe practices, and all things to make sure that you're in healthy relationships. Student Learning Center, there you can find group sessions on math, English, communications, and it's tied to the Peer Tutoring Center and the library. Test Center, that is an area where you can book your tests that are required to get into your program, or any tests that you somehow miss and you negotiate with your professor that you can write it in the Test Center. You go to the Test Center and book that with them. The Umbrella Project is our harm reduction project, and the Umbrella Project has all kinds of initiatives all across the campus, all times of year, to teach you how to stay safe, how to engage in this time of your life in a safe way. The Volunteer Center is part of the AC Hub, and they will provide you with weekly opportunities and many other opportunities to engage with your community and give back. And any activities that you do with the Volunteer Center will provide you with what's called a co-curricular record. So when you graduate from Algonquin College, you get your academic record and your co-curricular record that shows that you did more during your time at college than your academics, and that you were a part of the community, and it gives you a bit of an edge in your path to employment. And the Welcome Center, that's a central point of access for many of these services. So that's a center that you will go to book appointments for quite a few of these services. So we can just flip through these since I spoke to them all on the first page. But again, Michelle's going to send this out after for anybody. So we can just quickly flip through these. Gives you more information on the brief description that I gave you on all of those. And looking forward to your questions at the end of the webinar.
Perfect. Thank you, Martha. So next I'm going to call upon Nick, who's on the call, and Nick's going to speak to the registrar's office.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick, and I will be speaking a lot about the financial aid side of things. We're getting a lot of questions about that, as well as some questions in relation to admissions and registration. So we'll just skip to the next slide and we'll go from there. One of the biggest things that we get questions about will be financial aid, specifically OSAP. So that's the Ontario Student Assistance Program. To be able to get funding through that program, you need to be able to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or protected person, and meet Ontario residency requirements. Now, if you're not sure if you have those requirements, by all means, just send us an email. You can contact us directly and we can kind of figure out what your situation is to see if we can get you Ontario funding, or if we need to look at getting you funding through another province or territory, because that would be an option as well too. Beyond that, you do need to be approved in a post-secondary institution taking an approved program. Good news, we are approved. All of our full-time programs are approved for funding. So if you're concerned about whether or not you would be able to access funding through OSAP or even through part-time studies, that is something that we can guarantee through our full-time offerings, even if you do take it at a reduced course load. When it comes to being a full-time student, we do need you to be in at least 60% of a full-time course load, or 40% if you have self-identified as having a disability. So for instance, if you're taking a program that's got 5 courses, oh, I've got missing fingers, you can be missing courses and still get entitled to funding. So if you're in 3 courses, you can still get funding as a full-time student, or if you have the allowance, you can take as little as 2. If you're not sure, feel free to reach out to us or your academic area, and we'll be happy to see how we can help to make sure that happens for you for the appropriate funding. And beyond that, the other thing that's important to point out is that OSAP, along with other funding, which I'm going to talk about shortly, is tied to financial need. Now, if you're concerned about the funding that you have isn't going to meet your needs, definitely give us a call. There could be a simple mistake that was made on an application or a misunderstanding of what can or cannot be covered. It's not uncommon that sometimes we'll have people who are applying for financial assistance and they're saying, well, my family makes a small amount of money. And then we'll look at the OSAP application or other application and realize, ooh, you have an extra 0 or 2 in there. So instead of it being $10,000, somebody suddenly has $1 million that they're making. Simple mistakes like that can make a big difference. If we can go to the next slide. The big question also we're going to get is how to apply for OSAP. Now, normally, I would say just go to the OSAP website. And right now, these are not the most normal of times. And so I would still recommend that you go to the OSAP website to be able to start the application. by creating a profile. Now, this would be the same if you're applying for funding outside of the province of Ontario. So if you're coming through another province, or if you are getting funding through a third-party organization, then I would encourage you to start the application process. The application process may not be fully available right now as a result of the fact that there are a lot of changes that are going on. But that's where I'd recommend people to start. The application should be available shortly to be able to make sure that you meet the key deadlines. We'll go to the next slide. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is free money. The college is doing the best that it can to raise as many funds as possible to be able to help people meet their financial needs. So we have bursaries, scholarships, and awards. Now, bursaries are fantastic because you don't need to pay them back. Scholarships and awards are even better because you don't have to pay them back and you don't need to apply for them. For bursaries, we do have a single application point for every semester, and that application will be good for over 200 different bursaries, and we are trying to give away over $6 million. So that's a lot of money that I'd encourage you to consider applying for. Scholarships and awards, we recognize you for the efforts that you make, and currently you are not expected to apply for those. So we recognize you for the hard work that you do. On the next slide, you're probably going to ask yourself, how do I apply for bursaries? It's very simple. On your ACSIS account, now ACSIS stands for the Algonquin College Student Information System. You can see why we've shortened it down to ACSIS. You would be able to apply there. Now, the application is going to be available for people who are currently registered, and if your registration hasn't been completed yet, it will be going on an ongoing basis to be able to make sure that you can apply for bursaries. And on our next slide, we're also going to talk a little bit more about who to contact if you have any problems with financial aid. And if you go to our financial aid website, we actually have a drop-down list so you can find your dedicated officer. It's a very handsome gentleman there who's got a sausage nose and no hair, I must say. And finally, the other thing I want to point out to you is something that's very important when it comes to your registration, and that is your ACSIS account. On your ACSIS account, you can view your timetable to see when your courses are scheduled for, because some courses run shorter than others. You'll also be able to add or drop sections as appropriate for your program. If you can't do it, reach out to your academic area and they'll help you navigate that. If you have previous experience in another institution, you can apply for credit transfers or exemptions there, as well as apply for bursaries, as I mentioned. We also have a special allowance for international students to make payments through the online portal as well, because it can be difficult to access Canadian payment systems. And if you have any questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer those at the end. Thank you.
Perfect. Nailed it, Nick. Thank you. And we just have a couple questions coming in. We're going to take them at the end, at the question and answer period. But I am going to ask Nick, it's in the chat there now, but for our international students that don't know, what does OSAP stand for?
Oh, my apologies. So OSAP is the Ontario Student Assistance Program. One of the luxuries that we have in Canada is a lot of taxes. Part of that tax base goes towards paying for social programs such as student assistance programs, and the OSAP program, the Ontario Student Assistance Program, is funded both by the federal and provincial government. It allows us to be able to help students who otherwise may not be able to reach academic success due to financial restraints, to be able to have some of that burden lifted.
Perfect. Thanks, Nick. And then I'll just point out to our new students as well, as each representative presents on their specific area. You can see Leanne in the background there. She's posting each area's page. So you can click on that link if you're looking for a little bit more information. And then, of course, at the Q&A period, we can ask those questions as well. So I'm coming now to Rachel and her team, and she's going to talk about campus services.
Good morning, everyone. So just a short presentation here. I'm going to present on kind of campus services as a whole, as well as talk about getting your cards. And then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Amanda, who is going to talk to you about course materials. So campus services, this is kind of what makes up campus services. Food and conference services. So we have 7 locations on campus. When you are on campus, you'll be able to see all of them. Right now, if you're in residence, 35th Street Market Cafe is open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're doing a call ahead and pick up, so you can do contactless payment and pick up your food, and they have a whole menu online for you to choose from, as well as some grocery items that you can get through them. Print services is under us as well, so this includes the print shop. And also the printers are on campus that Sue was mentioning earlier. So typically when you would come to campus, you would get a print balance on your AC card. The print balance changes a little bit every year. So you can find that information on the Student Print website. But you would get a print balance. You can print a certain number of pages. There's instructions on how to do it. It's pretty easy. You go to the printer and you tap your student card. Right now, since we can't be going to campus, we're not encouraging the use of the campus printers. However, when we can, you'll definitely be able to take advantage of that. And as soon as we're able to come to campus, you will get an email with all the instructions step by step on how to access all of those printers. So retail services is under us as well. So that includes connections to the campus store, the campusstore.ca, where you can currently order all of your materials online, as well as course materials, which Amanda will speak to. We have parking, lockers, and card services. So a couple of things around that. Parking, we don't need to worry about at the moment. There will be further communication about that before we come back to campus. Lockers. So lockers is another thing that we will not need to worry about if you are a new student. If you're a returning student joining us today and you currently have a locker, don't worry, all your contents are safe. Your locker has been extended until we come back to campus, and there will be direct communication to you as well about getting your materials and all of that. But don't worry about it. No locks are being cut. Everything is safe. And then card services, which I'll speak to a little bit on the next slide, as well as residents. So I know we have, I'm not sure if we have anyone joining us today who's living in residence, but we do have a number of resident students joining us for the spring. So any questions about that, I can answer in the Q&A as well. So for card services, you have probably received a couple of emails from us by now. So if you haven't already, upload your photo online at acphoto.algonquincollege.com. So this is if you are a new student. Your login for that is your network username and password, which you can find on ACSIS. And there's also a step-by-step video to walk you through uploading your photo online at the card services website. As soon as you do that and they print your cards, your AC card and your UPass will be mailed to you to the address on file with the college. You can update that in ACSIS as well, but whichever that address is, that is the one that they will be sending it to. If we happen to have any returning students joining us, your UPass is already in the mail if you have not opted out, and you do not need to worry about your student card. UPass opt-out information can be found at algonquincollege.com/UPass, and there is a opt-out form on there as well. So if you would like to opt out, if you feel you meet the criteria and you'd like to, you can certainly fill out that form and they will process that for you. If you have any questions about your AC card or photo submission, or you're having any trouble with that, you can contact photo ID at algonquincollege.com and they will work with you to get that printed. Now I will hand it over to Amanda.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. So I'll be taking the next couple of minutes just to talk to you all about course material services and the steps you need to take to acquire your textbooks or any other suggested or required materials for your upcoming spring semester. So our team has developed a much easier way to determine which materials are needed for your courses, and this is through Booklist. So in order to access Booklist, you can simply visit the campusstore.ca. In order to log in, you just use your Algonquin College username and password. So basically, Booklist will generate a customized list of all of your required and suggested course materials. So next slide, please. So you will be able to view and purchase, once you're logged into Booklist, you'll be able to view and purchase your required textbooks. You will have the option of either digital or print format. This is the same content, it just depends on how you prefer to study. Some people like digital, other people like print. So if you do decide to order the print version, we will be shipping all orders directly to your homes. You just need to ensure that you're going to enter your home address. And this will be free within Canada and the US. Unfortunately, not internationally, but if you're living in Canada and the US, it will be free shipping during store closure, since our store will not be able to, won't be able to come into our store, obviously. As for digital, you'll be granted access immediately, so this may be more convenient for you guys. So you could check out the steps to download your digital resources at the link below here that you see, algonquincollege.com/course materials/students. Next slide, please. So if you all have your phones right now, you can, I don't know if you've seen a QR code before, you just simply take your phone, scan it, and it will direct you to Booklist. If it's not working, you can also easily visit it at the campusstore.ca/Booklist. This is just a better way to kind of understand which course materials are required for you guys. So we'll leave that up just for a second. We are sending this out to you, so if you want to look back through this PowerPoint, then you can just use the scan code there. to next slide. That's pretty much it. I know that you probably have a lot more questions. So if you do need further assistance or have any more questions, feel free to contact us at cms@algonquincollege.com. Or if you have more specific questions about your online order, the shipping and whatnot, you can contact the campus store directly at campusstore@algonquincollege.com. We're here for any questions that you have, so please do not hesitate to contact us. And thank you. Good luck with your studies this term.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so coming up next is Student Association, and Pat is on the call. I will turn it over to Pat.
Thanks, Sue. So my name is Patrick Newell. I'm the Senior Manager of Student Life for your Students Association. I'm just going to give a brief overview. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. So who we are. So the Students Association is a not-for-profit organization that's here to create an environment that inspires a passion for student success. We're governed by a board of directors. There's 9 in total, 1 on both Perth and Pembroke, and then 7 on our Ottawa campus. So we're run by students, but they're assisted by full-time staff. So Emily Ferguson is our president, and Robert Richter is our vice president. They just started a few days ago. And then again, like I said, they're assisted by full-time staff. We do everything from events, clubs on campus, your food cupboard, health and dental plan. We own and operate a number of different venues on campus and much more. Next slide. Athletics is something that we manage on campus. So we have a 15,000 square foot fitness facility, so a gym on campus. We oversee all varsity sports. So we have men's and women's soccer, volleyball, rugby. I wrote soccer in there twice, but I meant basketball. We have an impact zone, so an MMA gym on campus. So there's boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, everything taught into that space. Intramural sports, those are non-competitive sports that you play with friends in between classes, and those sports change every semester. But the sports are run day by day. So, volleyball's on Monday, floor hockey's on Tuesday, dodgeball's on Wednesday, so on and so forth. And then currently we're building our athletics and recreation center. So it's a $60 million, 120,000 square foot athletics and recreation center that'll be built on the Ottawa campus. When you come to campus, when it opens back up, you'll see the construction happening right now. And it's going to be pretty breathtaking. Next slide. Some of the services we offer. So we take care of the health and dental plan for all domestic students. International students have a health and dental plan through the international office. We manage the health and dental plan for all domestic students. We take care of all the grad photos. So when you graduate and you want to take your picture, send it to your parents or your loved ones, we take care of all of those. Food cupboard, which is a food bank on campus to help with food security with students. Housing ads, so if you're looking for an apartment during your time as a student, we post housing ads online through our website. Grad funding and employee network funding is funding that we provide for students to hold grad parties when they graduate, or bring in guest speakers to different classes or just on campus. Next slide. Student life, this is a big part of the Students Association. So we oversee a lot of the big events that happen on campus, concerts, comedians, all sorts of different things like that. Clubs are a great way to get involved on campus. We have a club space that's offered in the Student Commons building. Obviously, we're not on campus right now, so you can't get access to that space, but you still can create a club through our website. The Wellness and Equity Center is a space for 2S LGBTQ and BIPOC students. So they run a lot of diverse programming on campus. It also has a center on campus, so a physical space that you can go and just hang out in. And class reps. So each program has a class representative. These representatives work with our board of directors to bring student academic concerns forward to the student government. Next slide. Venues. So some of the different venues we own and operate on campus. The Observatory is our campus lounge. It's the only licensed alcohol serving venue on campus. Great food there. It's a great atmosphere. You can just go and hang out. There's a beautiful fireplace. We hold a lot of concerts and comedy nights there. Starbucks. So we do own and operate a Starbucks on campus, and the Algonquin Commons Theater, which is an 800-person theater that's located in the Student Commons building. They host a number of different shows from outside promoters as well as on campus. Next slide. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Pat. Just on a personal note, and for all our new learners, I know that it's going to look very different this spring, and your courses will be online. I teach part-time as well, and you know, it's almost as good as being in class. You get some face-to-face time, but just seeing all these faces of my colleagues is really nice. We're all in isolation and working from home, and it's nice to hear everybody talking and getting ready for the new semester. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the International Education Center, and we have Sue and Michelle. I will turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Just a couple of things before we get going, some new information for international students. So those of you who are here in Canada on study permits, or those of you who are at home because you couldn't make it to start your studies but are going to be studying online, we have an orientation for international students coming up on May 20th. I just got the information today. So check your emails for that information. That should be quite helpful. Go ahead on the next slide and Sue will present the next details.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Algonquin College. Another thing just for international students, if you are in your home country, if your study permit was approved prior to March 18th, but you're still in your home country, you are allowed to start your studies online. Just want to talk about the health insurance. International students have mandatory health insurance coverage through GuardMe, and you will be receiving an email with your GuardMe health insurance card, and that will cover you for medical. So check your email, and then we also have someone on campus that delivers and looks after and administers the program. It is a health program and not a dental program. If you'd like to purchase a dental plan, you can purchase that through the Students Association. And I'll turn the next slide over to Michelle.
All right. So what we do provide a lot of services for international students that speak to the unique experience of international students, such as immigration-related information. So we offer a lot of webinars. We'll be having quite a few in the coming weeks. Check your emails for the details of those webinars. We do assist students with study permit extension, all sorts of different permits and visas that you require for being in Canada. Do also check our frequently asked questions page. This is also on the coronavirus information that all the other departments have as well. And if you need to contact us, I guess the most important email that you can use to contact anyone in the international office is the IEC Support at algonquincollege.com. Over to you, Sue. You're on mute.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, thanks, Michelle. So just in the chat, I have posted the link to the international website as well, where you can register for the upcoming orientation that Michelle mentioned earlier. There are 2 sessions depending on where you are in the world, so you can choose which time zone is best for you. This is also, in this slide, a great resource for any of our current events and activities that we host for international students. And the majority of those events are free, so please check those as we do update those on a daily, weekly basis with our activities and events that go forward. Next slide.
So we offer free peer tutoring for international students. So if you're an international student, a study permit holder, and you're in a full-time academic program, you can send an email to the IEC Support at algonquincollege.com to access 10 free peer tutoring hours every semester. And we strongly encourage you to do so, especially if you're starting off and you're having some difficulty in your programs, maybe organizing, keeping up, or what have you. Do send us this email to access up to 10 hours of free peer tutoring, a service for international students. That's it for me. Next slide.
Another program that we run is an international peer mentorship program that matches international students with upper level international students. So if you're interested in being matched with a peer mentor, please send an email to internationalmentor@algonquincollege.com. It's a great way to meet other international students, whether you're looking to connect with someone from another country or maybe even someone from your own country. We normally have at least 2 to 3 peer mentor leaders, and then we have other student volunteers that work in our office. So please, if that's something of interest, send an email and one of the students will be happy to reach out to you. Next slide.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle and Sue. Okay, so we're moving on. We're looking good for the schedule. We always like seeing Jody's face. I'll turn it over to Jody to speak about the academic success for you guys.
All right. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. So my name is Jody. I'm a student success specialist, and I work in one of the academic areas at Algonquin. So I work with the School of Advanced Technology, but there's a student success specialist for each of the academic areas. So I'll touch on that a little bit. So next slide. So your academic success team is made up of your program coordinator, your academic advisor, and your student success specialist. So these individuals should be able to answer most of your academic questions, or at the very least, point you in the right direction of where to find answers to your questions. And I should note that in some programs, your advisor might also be your coordinator. So your program coordinators, they can help you with things like course planning, course scheduling, things related to curriculum for your program. They're often a great resource when it comes to answering questions about employment prospects and program outcomes. And my dog is barking, I apologize. Your academic advisor can discuss your academic goals, big picture questions about your program. They can also discuss things like reduced course load. So if you find that the amount of courses that you have in your program or your current level are a little bit too much, they can discuss what a reduced course load could look like and what options you might have for your program. And they can also answer questions about progression. So if you were to reduce your course load, or if you were to not do so well in a course, what having that reduced course load might look like and how it might affect you moving through your program. And they're also often able to provide necessary approval. So if the registrar's office were to ask you to get approval to add a specific course for another term, they can often give you that approval to switch into that course or add that course to your schedule. Your student success specialist. So I often describe this role as a compass. So we help guide students to resources, supports, and services that are available to you during your Algonquin journey. So we can assist with things such as study skills and time management, putting you in touch with different workshops and resources that relate to that as well. We can help you understand the different college systems and supports and answer general program questions. And then we can also connect you with appropriate resources when you're unsure of where to go. So if you don't know who to approach your student success specialist, and we'll make sure to get you on the right track. Next slide. So plan your day. You know, when you think about your time at Algonquin, we want to make sure that you have all the tools necessary to be successful. So plan your day. And by this, we mean schedule your classes, your homework, but also time to relax. Use things like agendas, assessment trackers, and even your phone calendar to help keep you organized. You want to find that balance between school and work and social activities. Make connections with classmates, instructors, your academic success team. The earlier you can do this in the term, the better. Don't leave those things until the end of the semester, because these can greatly affect your success in your program. and eliminate distractions. Use a timer, turn your phone to airplane mode. You know, eliminate any distractions that you can. If you find that you're constantly distracted by Netflix, you know, maybe study in a room where there isn't a TV or you don't have access to Netflix and things like that. Next slide. Create a study space and stay, or create a regular study space, sorry, and stay organized. This will help you establish a routine. So oftentimes having a dedicated study space can keep you on track and help you learn better. Hold yourself accountable, or find somebody that will hold you accountable, like a classmate or family member. Don't let your studies get away from you. So you want to find ways to keep on top of things. So if you find that you're starting to struggle, reach out for help. Don't wait for weeks to reach out for help towards the end of the semester. You want to reach out as early as possible and get yourself set up for success. And if you don't know where to start, again, reach out to your student success specialist, and we can help you connect with all the different resources around campus to help get that in place for you. You also want to set goals and reward yourself. So, you know, if you finish an assignment, maybe you reward yourself with an episode of your favorite TV show. One of the things that I often recommend to students is a technique called the Pomodoro technique, which is where you set small time goals for yourself. So if you find that you have difficulty setting an hour aside, maybe you set 20-minute time blocks where you've eliminated distractions, and then you reward yourself with small incentives. So maybe it's a 5-minute coffee break, but then after 3 or 4 of those 20-minute sessions, maybe then you reward yourself with a bigger break. Maybe it's a half-an-hour TV show or a walk outside, something like that. And next slide. So your academic success team, so your coordinator, your academic advisor, and your student success specialist, we can be found on this website. You'll be able to search for each of us on this site, either by your program or by your program area. And as I mentioned, you have a different person that makes up your success team. And if you don't know where to start with your student success specialist, and we'll help connect you with all those different people that make up your academic success team.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jody. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide, and our next representative is Bobby from the Cooperative Education Center. So I will turn it over to Bobby.
Hi everyone, my name is Bobby, and I work in the Co-op Education Department as an industry account manager, which is just a fancy term that means that I work with employers to get jobs for co-op students. I've also worked extensively with students to help prepare them for their co-op, to help them be successful during their job search period, as well as during their work term. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to give you a bit of an idea of what Algonquin College Co-op looks like in comparison to other types of work integrated learning that you might be familiar with. So as you can see, there's various types of work integrated learning depending on where you're getting your co-op from. So some work integrated learning are paid, some are not. They typically vary in timelines, and some of them are concurrent with your education and some of them are separate. So at Algonquin College, the duration of your co-op is 16 weeks or more, and that depends on the program that you are registered in. So some programs have one co-op that's 4 months long or 16 weeks. Other programs have 2 co-ops, and there are some that even have 3. So again, it just depends on what program you're in, on how long your co-op work term is going to be. Co-op is paid at Algonquin College, which is a great thing. They are full-time and they're separate from your education, meaning that your co-op work terms will be separate from your academic terms. Next slide, please. So what is co-op exactly? So it is a full-time job, full-time hours, generally 35 hours plus per week. Again, as I mentioned, it does have to be paid, minimum wage and up. Our average wage for a co-op student last year was about $17 an hour. And again, as I mentioned, a minimum of 4 months, depending on your program. And then the last thing is that your co-op has to be related directly to your program of study. And you will complete your co-op work terms in between your academic semesters. Next slide, please. So just to give you a few facts about co-op. So number one, co-op has been proven to increase your learning. So many students who go out on co-op work terms and come back to complete further academic semesters feel that things just make a whole lot more sense once they're out working in the field, because they're able to apply the theory that you've learned in the classroom in the workplace. What happens with that then is that students are more successful when they come back to complete their education. And stats show us that 97% of students who participate in co-op will graduate. So that's quite a high number, and definitely a higher percentage than students that do not complete co-op. Also, if you complete co-op, you will be more employable. So employers do perceive students that complete co-op to have more skills that are applicable to the workplace. And another third fact, which is a good one, students who participate in co-op do tend to earn more wages or higher wages than students that don't. So we have some evidence to show that between $2,000 and $8,000 is the range of what you would earn, more than a student that did not participate in co-op. Next slide, please. So just to give you an idea of how the co-op process will work. So you'll actually start preparing for your co-op work term 8 months before you go out on your first co-op work term. So for a full semester, you'll prepare for your co-op. There is a co-op readiness education course that you will participate in. Right now, obviously, it's going to be fully online, but in future semesters, when we get back to the campus, depending on whether you applied for co-op through your college application, or you may apply later depending on your program. Some of you will have an online course, and some of you will have a blended course. So you will actually have some classroom time with your student advisor to help direct you through this course. The second phase would be 4 months before you would on your first work term, and that's when you're going to be job searching. So you will be applying for jobs, attending interviews. We offer workshops to help you through that phase as well, and that's the term that you will be securing your co-op work term for the future semesters. After you've done your job search term, you'll start your first work term. Again, to reiterate, it is full-time. While you're out on your co-op, it is still considered an academic term. Your classroom is your workspace. So with that will come some assignments. They're not a lot, they're not very time consuming, but you will have to do some assignments and report those through Higher AC, which we use as well as the Employment Support Center, to post jobs and as well to submit some of your assignments. And then as well as Brightspace, which is your online platform. Next slide, please. So for international students, if you are going to participate in co-op, you will need to apply for a co-op work permit. If you apply for co-op, we will send you further instructions in an email that'll give you very simple instructions as to when and how to apply for your co-op work permit. Some other things that we recommend for international students to help them be successful in securing a co-op is try to get some experience in Canada before you go out on your co-op work term. So getting any kind of experience, trying to get a part-time job, volunteer, attend our workshops, just get involved. We recommend adding additional languages to your resume. Be proud of where you come from. And often we get questions from international students about working for the federal government. The answer is yes. Students that are international can work for the federal government. More and more, we're actually getting international students work terms with the government. It is a little bit more challenging just because there are some rules where Canadian citizens and permanent residents may need to be considered first. But having said that, you can get a job within the federal government. Next slide, please. So eligibility for co-op. So as I mentioned earlier, some of you would have already applied for co-op through your college application. Others, if it's not part of the application service, then you'll be sent an invitation via email. To be able to stay in co-op, you have to maintain a GPA of 2.7 or greater. There are some variances depending on your program. You do have to keep up with your course. You have to complete all of the courses that are in your program before you go out on your work term. So that means you can't fail a course, you can't drop a course, or you will not be eligible to continue in co-op. You also need to remain in good financial standing with the college. So not encumbered means that you have to make sure that all of your fees are paid and up to date. And you need to be a good college ambassador. So basically that means adhering to the student conduct policy of the college. Next slide. So that's it for me. So I look forward to any questions that you may have at the end.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Bobby. And I will argue that our next presenter, Matthew from ITS, is maybe one of the most important during these times. So I will turn it over to Matthew.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Susan. My name is Matthew Wally. I'm a case resolution specialist with ITS. If you submit a ticket to ITS and you get an email back, it's possible it's coming from me or one of our other talented technicians. Next slide, please. So today I'll be talking to you about primarily your network account and the benefits it offers you. But the first step to using your network account is getting your credentials. To do so, you need to go to the website, acsis.algonquincollege.com. ACSIS has been mentioned a couple of times today. I'll go over how to sign in. By this point, you should have a couple of pieces of documentation that have your student number in it. Using that student number, you can sign into ACSIS, and one of two things will happen. You'll either be prompted with 3 drop-down boxes. If you see these 3 drop-down boxes, it's asking for your birth date. You'll reply to the prompt with your birth date and then sign in, at which point you'll be prompted to create a password for ACSIS, as well as a security question to recover your account if you should forget your password. If you enter your student number into the sign-in and then you're prompted with another text box, that's asking for a password that you have already set. This password information will be something of your own creation. If you've forgotten this information, you can either use the Forgot Your Password link available on the webpage, or you can give ITS a phone call and we'll assist you with a password reset. Once you've signed into ACSIS, you can find network account info on the left-hand side menu. And the information displayed there is your email account, your username, and your default network account password. It is possible to change your password. That changed password information will not show in ACSIS. If you've forgotten your password after changing it, you will have to contact ITS to get a password reset. Next slide, please. So your network account offers you access to a number of different services at Algonquin. The biggest and most important ones are Brightspace and student email. Brightspace is where you will be completing most of your course activities, and student email is the primary means by which your instructors will be getting in contact with you if they need to for whatever reason. In addition to those 2 accounts, you are also given access to Office 365 Professional Plus. This is the complete suite of Office 365 programs and applications and can be downloaded from portal.office.com to give you access to Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Forms, Teams, Skype, all of Microsoft Office's software. Students who are in full-time programs also have access to Digital Resource Portal, where they can download additional course-required software. Other services available to students is Adobe Creative Cloud and SurveyMonkey. However, a ticket must be submitted to ITS in order to get access to those services. Some courses will be requiring VPN access in order to access various network resources that are stored at Algonquin College's servers. If you are in a course that requires VPN access, chances are you've already been entered by your instructor, and the only thing left to do is contact ITS to get your connection instructions. Some students will not be enrolled in VPN because their instructors have determined that that type of access is not required. Despite that, VPN can still be used to access a number of very helpful resources. So if you would like to get VPN access to use any of the services on the right-hand side of this slide, then please contact your instructor and request that they get you VPN access from ITS. There is an exception to that statement though. Peer tutoring is an open service. If you want VPN access to use peer tutoring, submit a ticket to ITS explicitly stating you require VPN access for peer tutoring, and we will arrange to get you the necessary permissions. Next slide, please. Zoom. Zoom is the main method by which your course lectures and activities will be delivered to you. Some instructors are opting to create Zoom classrooms within Brightspace. That information on how to connect to those classrooms will be stored in the Brightspace course where the lecture is being held. Other instructors have opted to create their own Zoom sessions outside of Brightspace, and in order to connect to those Zoom sessions, you'll need to be provided the connection information by your instructor. The connection information that is required at the college is the Zoom meeting ID, which is standard on all Zoom sessions, as well as a meeting password, which is automatically enforced on creation when using Zoom within Algonquin College. If you're trying to connect to a Zoom session and you don't have the password, then you won't be able to connect, and you'll need to get in touch with someone who does have that information in order to access that session. Students are not required to have a premium Zoom account. The basic Zoom account or just using Zoom as a guest will suffice for connecting with your coursework. In exceptional circumstances, premium Zoom accounts can be given to students, but that is an exception and certainly not a rule. Zoom support is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. at the Zoom link in this slide. There, a member of ITS will connect with you over Zoom and can assist you with setting up your audio settings or troubleshooting connectivity issues you might be experiencing. Next slide, please. ITS can be reached by a number of different methods. The two we are supporting at the moment is email and phone support, available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. These hours of service are starting May 27th. Before May 27th, we are on our regular support hours, which is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. In-person service desk support is not available at this time because the campus is closed and students should not be on campus. Next slide, please. That's everything that ITS has to say today. We look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, so for our students, we're going to turn it over to the Q&A. Throughout this webinar, we've had quite a few questions answered in the chat, which is fantastic. We often get a lot of very specific questions about specific programs, so we'll do our best. And we know that there is a lot of information that's been given you today, and I just want to reassure everybody that we will send this out afterward to everyone who is registered. So you'll get all these links and this information, and you'll be able to follow up with any questions that we're not able to answer today. And then again, I think I just want to say thank you to everybody, our panelists and the students that have signed on. Again, we keep saying it, but we are in a very odd time, and everybody's adapting, and I'm very proud to be a part of Algonquin College during this time. And I think just remember that we're all in the same boat. We're all online, and if you are having some struggles, just remember all of our resources have been moved online. So you just need to go to that link that we're sending you, and we'll be able to get your question answered, and we'll be able to get you that support. So I'm going to move over to the Q&A. So our first one, is it compulsory to buy books from the site, which is provided by college, or can I buy books, of course, from anywhere? Okay, so I will turn this over. Rachel, I don't know if Amanda is still on the call, but I will turn it over to one of you if you think it's necessary to buy them from the bookstore. Obviously, if the professors are suggesting a required book, it might be a good idea, but I will turn it over to you guys.
Sure, I can take that one. So it is not compulsory to buy through the campus store, but there are certainly benefits to doing so. So what I would say is, first of all, if you're in Canada and the US, they're doing free shipping. If you are international, they will still ship to you. And they are also processing orders every day. So orders are getting out rather quickly to students. So you will get your books prior to the term if you were to order now, for example. The other key point, if regardless of where you're ordering your books, but if you order through the campus store, you know that you are getting the proper edition and year of the book that the professor is asking for. So if you're going to order elsewhere, just make sure that you have that edition to make sure that you're getting the proper textbook that they're looking for.
Perfect, thank you, Rachel. Jody, I'm going to come to you for the next one. I know we can't speak to each program specifically, but they are asking, they're taking the computer programming course, and will the class be live? If you can just maybe speak to, Matthew touched on Zoom and that some profs will be doing live classes and some will be doing recorded classes, but just a little bit more about what that looks like.
Absolutely. So there's two things with this question. So if you mean that you're going to be doing the computer programmer program and you've been advised that your classes are going to be online, then yes, there are going to be some components where you'll be meeting live for your classes. However, if you mean that you're going to be, that you switch to the computer programmer program offered through AC Online, that is a fully online program that's not offered face-to-face even when we return back to campus. So those classes would be online. The biggest advice that I would have for you is when you get access to your Brightspace, log into your course or to each of your courses and check to see what the requirements are there. You can also log into your ACSIS account, and if you go to your timetable and look at your week view and move to the week of May 19th or the week after, if you see classes scheduled there for computer programmer, those will be the times of your classes where you will be meeting online with your professors through Zoom. So your professors will be holding Zoom sessions just like a regular class, and you'll be able to answer or ask questions, get answers from your professor, and get that learning taken care of that way.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, I'm coming back to you, Rachel. We have a student who has applied for the UPass, and they're just making sure that they've done everything they needed to do.
Yeah, for sure. So if you are UPass eligible, you will you would have received a couple of emails by now. If you submitted your photo online for UPass, you don't need to do anything else. So you'll get an email within probably 2 days from Card Services saying your photo has been approved, and then after that, they will put it in the mail and send it out to you. If it has been longer than that and you haven't heard anything from them, then feel free to email them at photoid@algonquincollege.com, and they will be able to give you the status of when it was printed, when it was mailed, all of that.
Awesome, thank you. And again, just a reminder that we'll send out those links after this. And I think just a general good practice right now is make sure that you're checking your emails. We'll be sending out collective emails where you know, a lot of information is tied in together, but each area will definitely be sending some emails coming your way to make sure that you guys are ready for day one. Okay, so the next one is good, and I'm not sure if we should come to Nick and Jody, maybe you can speak on it as well. But they're just asking about the timing of their classes and if they can change those classes. Obviously, this looks different now because we are all online. So Jody and Nick, I'll maybe come to you and see if either of you want to take that question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll speak to it in a general way in that normally, yes, there is some adjustments that can be made to timetables. On Access, you would be able to log in and there would be an opportunity to add, drop, or transfer sections. So a section is just the different times that the same class would be offered. It will be a little bit difficult now to be able to say when you would be able to make those changes for in-person courses. It has been the case historically, whenever you do online classes, that there's no set time. You work at your own pace. And so as we kind of navigate this new world as to what our our course loads and course expectations are going to be, there could be some flexibility in that. So for instance, if you're doing a completely online program and it's designed to be delivered online from the onset, then you can pick and choose when you'd like to participate. Other programs, especially for the in-person ones, there can be some limited opportunities to change because we know exactly what courses we need you to have and when those times are available. I know that for some of the programs that Jody interacts with, we can't have open availability because if you miss one course in level 1, it could prevent you from going on to level 2, level 3, level 4. And I'll let Jody continue that.
Yeah, for sure. I know for programs, so I think computer programmer is probably one of the ones there's a number of students here for. So for some of my programs, we do have the availability open on access for students to be able to make timetable changes. However, for level 1 students in particular, it's much harder to have that open availability like Nicholas had mentioned, because there's so many level 1 students starting, so that availability oftentimes is next to none. So you won't be able to make those changes most likely even before you start classes. What I would recommend is to reach out to your academic advisor to see if a change in your timetable is possible, and mention the classes that you would like to change, but there may not be other sections running. Or sort of, for instance, even if you wanted an evening class, there might not be an evening section of that class running. So check with your academic advisor as a starting point to see if changes might even be possible.
Perfect. And Jody, I'm just going to stick with you. The next question is really good too. Just international students, again, reaching out. Obviously, if they're not in Ottawa, their time zone is very different. In terms of the live Zoom classes, if you can speak a little bit, I know that each will be different, but if perhaps we'll be recording or if there'll be access to those classes after the fact.
Sure. So I think this will come down to the individual professor. So what I would recommend there, if the time is very different from the time zone that you're in and you find it difficult to attend that class, be sure to reach out to your professor early. If you have access to who that professor is now, you can even reach out to them now before classes start and ask if you're not attending that class because of the time difference, if that's still possible, and if you can get a recording of it if they weren't planning on doing so. If you have any trouble reaching out to your professor or getting that assistance, reach out to your student success specialist and we can investigate that a little bit further for you to see what accommodations might be able to be made for you in your particular instance.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jody. Okay, Stu and Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you for the next couple of questions. If you want to just speak, they're asking specifically about the study permit and what happens if they don't get it in time. If you want to speak to the study permit in that process.
I can start. So for students who you really should have the study permit in hand, even if you're not in Canada, as it could affect your post-grad work permit, which is the work permit that you're eligible for at the end of your studies. So the idea is if you have the study permit in hand and you study online in your home country, immigration has stated that this would not affect the postgraduate work permit eligibility. If you don't have the study permit, then it's very different. It will not count towards the postgrad work permits. So we strongly suggest that you do have the study permit, as you've been advised, I believe, from the international recruitment team and admissions team. If you want to know further details or want further guidance, please reach out to the international recruitment team by emailing international@algonquincollege.com. I think, I'm not sure if there's...
Just one other thing to add, Michelle, would be if you're still currently waiting for your study permit, classes are due to start on May the 19th. So you would need to have your study permit approval no later than May 25th in order to join this new semester. Otherwise, as Michelle said, please reach out to international@algonquincollege.com or you can also post a message in your application portal to your international admissions person if you'd like to defer your studies to the next semester because you did not receive your study permit.
Perfect. Okay, so that answers those questions. May 25th is that magic date. So thank you both. Okay, we're getting some really good questions that I don't know answers to either. So the next one is when new students will be able to log into their Brightspace and get email and so forth, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's when the timetable has been released, which has happened. So again, I'm not sure. I want to turn it over to maybe Nick and Matthew.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So when a student's fees are processed within Genesis after making a payment, the student email becomes available 8 a.m. the day or the weekend after the fee processing. So if you paid on the Monday, you would have your student email access. If your fees were processed on the Monday, you would have your student email access by the Tuesday. If your fees were processed on a Friday, you would have your student email access by the Monday.
Mm-hmm. Assuming the
Brightspace,
registration was completed.
Yeah. As for Brightspace, it's available an additional 24 hours after receiving your student email. So if you have your network credentials at the moment, but you still can't get into Brightspace, you should be able to access it by tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If you've already tried what I've just said and it's still not working, you may need to contact ITS and we'll review your account further.
In addition, it's also good to check to make sure you can see your timetable on Access. If you cannot see your timetable on Access, it means the registration is not completed, and therefore the ITS process would not be able to begin.
Perfect. And Nick, I'm correct, the timetable schedule came out on April 30th?
I believe there was a slight delay because of some of the registration challenges, but it should be available now, I believe, again, depending on program delivery. Okay,
excellent. Thank you. Okay, our next question. Okay, this is a good one. So maybe Jody, I'll come back to you. So again, just considering that this semester looks very different, maybe we can take a closer look at, what a student's first day looks like. We normally in this webinar would go over, where things are located on campus, but everyone will be signing on from home. So just walk through that process a little bit.
For sure. So Brightspace is going to be your best friend right now. So every program normally has a Brightspace homeroom for your program. So when you get access to your Brightspace, you will likely get some updates from your program coordinator in your homeroom, which may have details about accessing your courses in general for your program. And then each of your individual professors will be posting in their individual course rooms as well. So what I would suggest before the start of term, so before May 19th, log into your Brightspace to take a look at what you have access to and if your professor has posted any information ahead of time. Normally, the professor will have some post there about themselves, their contact information, and how the semester will run, especially this term since we're going to be online. They will have information posted there about the online sessions, how that will work, the link that you'll be using to log into your Zoom sessions if that's applicable, and so on and so forth. So check your Brightspace. Make sure you check the course content section within Brightspace, as well as the announcements section. So the course content section is normally where you'll find your course outline and details from your professor, and then the announcements will be updated on a normal basis, and you'll get a notification in Brightspace whenever a new announcement is made. And that's where you'll be continually updated from each of your professors or your coordinator on any changes or anything that's happening within the next little while.
Excellent. And Catherine, for your question, I think that answers it as well. And just make sure that you're checking your Brightspace. That is where professors will be posting the Zoom links for your live classes. So we will move on to the next one. And Jody, I'm just going to stick with you. In terms of if students do want to reach out to their profs, how would they do that? Or if it's best to reach out to the program coordinator, what would be that process?
Yeah, so if you need to reach out to your professor, if it's questions about your specific course that you're taking, in Brightspace under that course content section, that's normally where the professor will post their contact information. I have seen some others posted in the announcement section as well. So sometimes that's the first announcement for that course. And you might also be able to search them through the email section within Brightspace. So if you search by the professor's name, you'll be able to do so there. So, so check your Brightspace. The information for each of your professors should be in each of the course rooms for each of those courses, not in the general homeroom for your program.
Thank you. And Parsa has a question for Michelle and Sue. Once they get their study permit, do they need to send a copy to Algonquin College?
No.
Perfect. Okay. What are the steps for first day of my semester? So I think we went over some of this. Again, we just want to make sure all new students are going on to Brightspace. Professors, and Jody, please correct me if I'm incorrect. Professors should be loading those classes. The first day is May 19th, and you will all participate in AC Day 1. So you'll get to start to join some of these webinars, get some more information, and of course some social activities. We have another question in here in terms of how to meet your classmates, which is so important because we're all online. We want to make sure that we're staying connected. So AC Day 1 is really a part of that. You'll be able to join some webinars and some social sessions where you can maybe connect with some other students. But in terms of connecting with their classmates, Jody, I'm going to come back to you. I know, again, it will be program specific and up to the professors and the program coordinator. But I don't know if that's been a discussion, if and when students will be able to connect with each other. Sorry, Jody, you're just on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, so there is going to be a program orientation for computer programmer and computer engineering. So that will take place on May 19th. So I would strongly encourage you to check that out. Your coordinators for those programs are going to be posting some information in your Brightspace for your program orientation ahead of May 19th or on the morning of May 19th. So please check that, read through the slides that they're going to be posting for your program. My contact information will be there as well. And then later that day, during the actual program orientation, they're going to be offering a Zoom question and answer session. So that's a great way to connect with different people in your program. I will be there as well. Someone from co-op will be there. And then other classmates will be there too. So it's a great way to connect with both your teachers and other classmates in your program.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then the last one, it's a good segue. It is about the co-op education. So Bobby, if I can come to you, if that's going to be accessible within Brightspace or if there's another means for students to access that information.
So if you have not already applied for a co-op, you will receive an email from the co-op department with an invitation to apply to co-op. So that will provide you with all of the information that you need. Brightspace will not actually take effect until you start your prep course, which is again 8 months before you go into your first work term. So the first step will be getting an email from co-op with instructions of how to apply.
Excellent. Thank you, Bobby. Okay, and Sue and Michelle, I'm just going to come back to you. We're still getting questions about study permits. So I don't know if there's a suggested date when they should be looking to consider the deferral process, if it is that May 25th day, or if they should be doing it before that.
So Susan, I'll answer that. I actually just got an update from the international recruitment team. So international students will need to have their study permits by May 19th, not the 25th. They're not adhering to that 5-day period because the semester has been shortened a little bit due to COVID. So I would say if students do not have a study permit approval within the next week or so, definitely they should be reaching out to the international team at international to update them on their situation. They are allowing international students up until June 1st to withdraw if you do not get your study permit, but you should be reaching out prior to the 19th to the international team if you have still not received any information from IRCC in regards to your study permit application.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. And Sue, if you're able, if you want to put that, the email or the link in the chat, and a reminder, again, we'll send this information out to everybody. But I can appreciate that if you haven't gotten your study permit, that might be a bit stressful. So we'll make sure to address that. Perfect. Thank you, Sue. So for our international students that are having a little bit of struggles with their study permit, if they've not received it yet, reach out to that email address that Sue has posted in the link there. Okay, so we've answered all the questions, which is really fantastic. I'm looking at the time and I think that we've done a pretty good job today on keeping on time, which is really great. So I'll just ask our panelists if there's any other information that you feel maybe wasn't shared today. I'll just give everyone a minute or so if there's anything else that we want to talk about.
I guess I'll just
first.
Oh, sorry.
Bobby, I'll come to you.
Okay, I was just going to say if anyone has any specific co-op questions, I'll include my email address in the chat because it is a very complex process depending on what program you're taking. The schedules are different, the timelines are different. So if you have specific questions, I will include my email address in the chat. Please feel free to send me an email. Once I receive that, I may forward that to another member of our team who may look after your particular program and they can answer that for you.
Thank you, Bobby. And anyone else?
I was just going to add, if you are a student that is looking for support from the Center for Accessible Learning, sooner rather than later to register with them.
Perfect.
We'll put up the link for that as well.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so with that, I want to say thank you to all of our new students that signed on today. Again, it's looking a little bit different this semester, but we're still all here. Our services are available online. You know, we're more engaged than ever because we recognize that this looks different for everybody. And a reminder, just please be checking your email because that's where you'll be getting your information, and reach out if you need to. And remember to get some face-to-face time when you can, while physical distancing, because it's so important. And then the last thing I'll say is just make sure to register for AC Day 1. So we're having our first ever virtual AC Day 1. You should get an email today to register. Nick is super excited about that. So again, a lot of the resources that you might have some questions about, you will get answers on day 1, whether it be in your program orientation for your specific programs, or ITS, the registrar's office, the SA if you need to opt out to anything, if you want to opt into anything. Again, you know, I keep repeating myself, but it's really important that you do appreciate that we're here to support you, and day 1 will be, you know, step 2 to get your questions answered. So with that, I will say thank you, everybody, and we will see you online on May 19th for AC Day 1. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.